Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 between coLGanZi and GoSuViBe. I'm Senex.
And I'm Paul. And I'm very,
Oh.
I'm very interruptory. No, continue
I
with
know,
your
yeah, a
thought.
little bit of miscommunication right there from the casters, but I do think that with some good kind of talking macro, we should be able to overcome that deficit. And we see right now they're spawning on Braxis Delta, another FRB map, or a map created specifically for FRB by Baron, the kind of originator of the entire concept.
Yeah, I really like this map. I'll go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown of it because you're probably not too familiar with it. You do have your main base here, as you can see. It's got lots of room, as well as a free base with gas included right inside of your base. So it's very well protected. Of course, it's on the high ground, and there's no ramp leading up into it, but a ramp leading down into it from your base. And then, of course, on the other side, there's another ramp that leads down to what would typically be a natural and a normal map that is a little more open. Does have kind of a wide choke right here. So typically, you'll see players go for fast expansions. It's relatively common. It's actually a little bit like that that map. I can't remember. It was on the ladder pool, but it was like this in the sense that it had a free base inside of it. I can't even remember the name, but most likely we'll see some fast expansions.
Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about. I saw it in
Yeah.
the old map tournament a little while ago. Now, what I do think is particularly interesting about this map is that it almost encourages bad play in a couple ways, but leaves you open to be punished horribly for it. And that the temptation to take this base with like a Nexus first, like command center first, whatever, is pretty high. You really kind of feel the temptation because that back base just looks so tempting. If you can just control your main ramp, it's like, oh, I can totally get that for free. The thing that you don't at first realize, though, is that that base is only one tier above the ground level, meaning that Reapers and other kind of crawling units, stuff like the Colossus and stuff, can get right in there. And so if your opponent goes for an early, not quite bust, but an attack specifically designed to punish you for being too greedy right there, my own personal favorite being incredibly fast siege tank play with an air unit to get right in and be able to give you the high ground vision, you can find yourself in an absolutely awful position because you got too greedy and tried to take that apparently free base.
Yeah, indeed, but we do see GoSuViBe going ahead and getting a 2-Rex, so going for that 2-Rex pressure here, as well as bunkers, I'm sure, going ahead and moving one Marine up right now. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he decides to pull some SCVs along with this, or just sticks to Marines only. We do have that SCV, of course, checking out this base. Kind of, I don't know if he's unfamiliar with this map or not, but, ooh, wow, really cool. He's going to go for a contain. Drops down bunkers, but, I mean, I don't know, you might have to help me out here. How effective do you think this will actually be?
I'm really thinking that this is him not quite knowing the map. I think that he's going to swoop in and kind of spot what his opponent did and expanding to the back base and think like, oh man, I really should have taken a harder look at this before just kind of assuming that there was going to be no in-base natural. And I can understand why he might think that. It's not a particularly common thing in the ladder. It's something that Baron specifically reintroduced because of the nature of FRB, but it might end up really biting GoSuViBe for not quite being familiar with this particular map.
Yeah, now GoSuViBe does have some Marines here down on the low ground. Actually, you can't even see that one. I don't think. I'm trying to move the camera. Yeah. Oh, man, that Marine is super hidden out of the way. So it's going to be pretty hard for Vibe to deal with those. Now, he does have one bunker finished right now. Spinecrawler, however, is finished for Vibe, so I don't really think this bunker right here is actually going to get finished. And GoSuViBe should be okay. Has he pulled any SCVs? What I'm looking for. It does not look like he's even pulling SCVs right now. So just continue to rally down some Marines, but against Spinecrawler, they're really not that good.
Yeah, and another thing GoSuViBe's going to need to watch out for is that a 2-Rex is a lot more all-in an FRB map than it is on your standard StarCraft 2 game, just because you obviously have 25% less money, which means that any attack that relies on dealing damage to your opponent and then retreating behind defenses either needs to be into your own expansion, either needs to be kind of scaled back so that you're just not investing quite as much in it, for example a 1-Rax pressure, or you need to understand that basically this is an EHAN timing where if you don't really hurt your opponent with it, you're incredibly behind.
Yeah. You definitely have to do a ton of damage because honestly, building 2 bunkers, he already lost one. I think he actually canceled it. And then just rallying down these Marines where instead you could be getting another base and macroing up, it's going to leave you quite behind. And of course, Zerklay did go for his fast expansion, which is totally fine right now. But it looks like GoSuViBe is going to move out these Marines and actually bypass that Spinecrawler. Love that move by GoSuViBe. Obviously, he was planning on that the entire time, and actually forces Vibe to lift off this Spine Crawler. If he can target down that Spine Crawler, he will be in such a good spot. There are currently 2 queens over here, and GoSuViBe actually deciding to retreat. Going to target down these Zerglings, and really taking advantage of the fact that GoSuViBe does not really have the best coverage that he could possibly have. I feel like perhaps the Spine Crawler that he moved could have been a little bit closer to the ramp. But that's okay. GoSuViBe going to go ahead and go for this other Spine Crawler. There are roaches out right now, though, so GoSuViBe really needs to be careful.
Yeah, I definitely like GoSuViBe's play right here, though. He's really trying to make the most out of this attack, even though it's not quite going the way that he'd initially envisioned it. Also, just taking a quick look at the Workers tab, the response it has the Units tab, I should say, there is no Workers tab, but the response it has caused is incredible.
Yeah, we see 27 workers for GoSuViBe and only 25 for GoSuViBe. So Vibe definitely being forced to get some units that he probably didn't want this early, and of course getting 2 Spine Crawlers that he might not have even needed, considering his natural was pretty defended just by its position. Now he did manage to force back all of these Marines and finish off those bunkers. The question is, will Vibe go ahead and get his 3rd base, or will he go for a 2-base timing attack? And it looks like he's moving his units across the map.
His own Baneling nest is finishing up right now, and I do think he's going to be in the position to really put some pressure on, also making 12 more Zerglings right now, as his Zergling speed is going to be finishing up very soon. Also, critically, this is not a full wall from GoSuViBe. I really don't know why he moved his barracks like this. I definitely think that if he had planted down the 2nd barracks right next to the 1st one, and then used these bunkers to wall in along with a couple of supply depots, he'd be in a much better position to hold off this huge attack that's massing on his doorstep.
Yeah, this huge attack is going to do a ton of damage. It looks like Vibe's going to go ahead and morph in all of his Zerglings into Banelings, at the same time rallying 12 Zerglings, in fact, in production, up to his main attack force. Now GoSuViBe is trying to come out here, wants to get rid of those Banelings before they can finish morphing in, and even more Banelings being morphed in here. Now GoSuViBe is going for the break, is going to go ahead and target down 1 bunker, does manage to evacuate that one. There is still 1 left, but there are only some Marines and SCVs to deal with this. If GoSuViBe can micro effectively, especially with his Banelings, he should come out with a huge win right here. He's really
Yeah, very, very precarious position for GoSuViBe right now. I do like that he's retreating up the ramp, and we might see a kind of interesting play right here. If he just lifts off all of the structures, he can in fact expand to his own in-base natural and try to just defend this much smaller choke at the ramp.
Yeah, he could definitely do that. I think that he probably doesn't want to move that Rax if he can help it, as Stim is about 3/4, make that 4/5 of the way finished, and we do see Vibe gonna go ahead and target down that tech lab. That's actually a huge loss for GoSuViBe. It's gonna put him even farther behind, and like you said, he did lift off his CC, and it's just gonna put it on the high ground for now. I'm not gonna go ahead and move it over to where the minerals are, and now Vibe, all he needs to do is break through these buildings, take out these Marines, and he'll win the game. The GoSuViBe GG's, and that's the end of that one. Wow, that was some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah, pretty intense game. I have to admit, though, I'm a little confused just because GoSuViBe, as the loser of the first game, got to pick the next map.
Yeah.
And so, like, it really felt to me watching that game like he was just not quite ready for what his opponent did. He didn't know that there was an expand in the back. And so I can definitely understand him being caught off guard by that. Very busy guy. He's off doing all kinds of things, like, competing at MLG and these huge tournaments and stuff. But him picking a map that he's not familiar with is a little bit of a strange decision.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was thinking, and even he didn't even play to the map's strength, so he was really unaware of the map, and I'm not sure if he just didn't know or if he had something else in mind. I have the feeling that he didn't know because he probably would have done some other stuff, but all is well. That's currently Vibe with 2 wins and GoSuViBe with none, so GoSuViBe is going to have to win the next 3 games to win this series. It's going to be a long road ahead of him.
If there's anybody who can do it, though, it is definitely GoSuViBe, so going to need to check that out in game number 3 coming right up.